Won't you open up your arms to me? Then at last you will see all the love that I have right here for you. Every time that I say these words, they're true. Won't you show me something I can see? I've had a little space and I've had a little time. See the love that you have right here for me. And every time that you say these words, they're true. When I'm sick of lies and I'm sick of tears, here we go again after all these years, saying I'll be there for you. Won't you show me something I can see? 'Cause I don't know if I'm strong enough to be. And all the love that you have right here for me. And every time that you say these words, they're true. When I'm sick of lies and I'm sick of tears, here we go again after all these years, saying I'll be there for you, saying I'll be there for you, saying I'll be there for you.
So there we go, that's a track called Open Arms from Grainne Duffy, performing live here in the NVTV studios. And I'm pleased to say she's here with us right now. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much.
That was a great song. Tell us the story behind that song then.
I think that was just written at a time whenever I was listening to a lot of singer-songwriters like Carole King and Bonnie Raitt and people like that, and just kind of I love that kind of old school classic songwriting style.
Yeah.
James Taylor, and I'm not saying it's anywhere in their league, but I'm just saying it was inspired by that kind of classic songwriting style.
Brilliant. So you're coming back to Belfast, you're playing the Black Box, and you always get a great reaction here in Belfast. And it's probably because there's a good blues heritage here in Belfast, isn't
it? It really
there?
does. I can see why Rory Gallagher made it a real staple in his touring circuit, because it is so, it loves this music, and there's a really great atmosphere. Anytime we play up here, we've always been received really well. And yeah, we're doing the Black Box on the 12th of April, and it's just one of those places that it's always so much fun coming up here to play, because the audience is just right with you from the get-go. So
exactly.
I think it's a great place for live music. I think anywhere that's gone through a bit of a hard time, the way Belfast has, actually appreciates music even more.
Definitely. Now, it's going to be a busy year for you because you've got the new album coming out later in the year, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been in LA recording it in January. And
so it's right at the time of the fires as well. Oh, wow.
Yes, we were there for all the madness of the fires, and the studio had been full of ash, and they had to get all the ash out. And yeah, it was very much a city in turmoil. You could sense, people, the hotel we were staying in was full of all the first responders, and you could just really get a sense of a changed atmosphere in LA.
Yeah.
But we did it in January, and we did it with some wonderful musicians. Kenny Aronoff, who's a well-known drummer, and we had a great lineup of musicians on the record. So we're looking forward to taking it out later in the year.
So what can we expect then? What kind of things are on the album?
Oh,
then?
It's definitely kind of more of a rock and roll album, I would say. It's not for the faint-hearted.
You must have seen over the years, you've been recording music now since 2007, I think, was the first album, wasn't it? And obviously you've seen changes and stuff. Well, what's your kind of thoughts on using AI and things like that in music?
I'm not a fan of the idea of AI coming in and stealing creativity, because it's definitely very unregulated, and there's a lot of like ethical boundaries have to be sketched out before we really get a handle on all of that. But already, like, there's been a case with Steve Marriott.
Yes.
His voice was being manipulated, I think, and you know, I think anything that goes down that road of stealing somebody's character and identity, I am definitely 100% against that. I think there'll have to be an awful lot of work done before we get it right with any sort of use of AI. But for me, music is something that comes from your heart and soul, and if we're replicating that through computers, it's never a good thing.
And music is something that's been in your life right from the start, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, like we were kind of, like, we weren't a musical family, so people often say to me, oh, is your mother or father's musical? They weren't. In our house, my mother was quite a creative person. She just didn't allow, there was no television in our house growing up, and this is before internet, before phones, so I'm telling you, it was nothing. And 7 children without any television, any means to communicate to the outside world, but we had a record player.
Right.
So actually we were always allowed to ask for a record on Christmas or our birthdays, and that was brilliant because it really created an atmosphere of myself and my 3 sisters. We used to put on records and get like Madonna, or we'd be making up dances to Papa Don't Preach, and then the Bangles, we were mad into the Bangles, and then eventually we found like Fleetwood Mac and the Rolling Stones and all of that kind of music. So it was great because it just taught you to listen and get into lyrics and dancing and songwriting and things like that.
And you were singing with your sisters back then as well, weren't you?
Yes, I was. We used to have what we called a rock and roll chorus, because we were going out doing like 3 girls at the front dressed the same, we all looked the same, but we were doing more like we were doing, as I said, the Rolling Stones, and we were doing Thin Lizzy and doing all this kind of stuff.
And what was the moment then when you thought, I'm going to go solo, I'm going to make this my career?
Well, I decided to go to college to study music, so I started with a degree in music, and while I was in college I realised I didn't want to go down the route of teaching, and I didn't want to really go into kind of more, I was a classical and jazz degree, and I was like, no, I think my heart is in just like writing songs and performing songs. And luckily I'd met my now husband then, Paul, and he really got me into guitar playing, which I was into anyway, but he started teaching me more, and then I just started. He actually bought me as a birthday present studio time. And I was like, why are you buying me studio time? And he said, because now you have to write some songs.
Yeah.
So it was actually a great impetus, because then I went in, and that was just the start of it all.
Over the years as well, you've shared the stage with many big names. It must be great to meet some of the legends that you've worked with.
I have been lucky. I've met lots, because we've done Glastonbury a few times, and when I was there I met Joan Baez, and I met C6 Steve, and you know, I've met lots of different musicians. Sinead O'Connor was there the year we played.
Wow.
And, you know, we got to meet loads of brilliant legends. But you know, and then we went to India and played along with who all was on that stage? That was ZZ Top with Billy Gibbons, and you know, and we got to do some songs with them live, and you know, there's been great musicians I've met over the years, but you know, you finally get to the point where you're like, everybody's just a person, and it's lovely when you meet somebody you connect with. Like I got to meet Lucinda Williams, and that was like meeting a friend. Like when she was sitting down and just talking about being a woman on the road, and that felt like just meeting somebody that you could have a lot in common with, you know.
Anybody you didn't like?
Oh my God, I can't be saying that. You know, sometimes it's kind of like even smaller bands that sometimes they can have more of an ego, and they're kind of carrying on in a crazy way, and you're like, come on. Like when you've met like John Mayall and people like that who've been on the scene forever, and they're really down to earth, it kind of teaches you a lesson. As I say, the same people you meet on the way up, you meet on the way back down. So you have to be very kind of watch who you're next to, you know. Exactly. But I just think it's nice to try to keep your feet on the ground and be level-headed. And I understand some people like their privacy and don't want to talk, and maybe some people have been burned by the industry, and that's fine, and don't want to be too social. But at the same time, even Sinead, when we met Sinead O'Connor, she was so much fun, because my husband was like, should I shave my beard? And she just got right into it and started having the crack with us.
Oh wow,
you know, there was no airs and graces. She was really humble, lovely person.
You've toured with Paul Brady as well, haven't you?
Yes, we did actually the Ulster Hall here with Paul Brady, and that was lovely, because I have a huge respect for Paul's songwriting and all he's done for Irish music.
Brilliant. So the album's coming out later in the year then?
Yes, the album's coming out. I did a previous album in San Diego, and it was called Dirt Woman Blues, and that was the last release, and that was, I'd done a PhD on women in the blues, and it was based upon all the women I'd studied, from Bonnie Raitt, Rosetta Tharpe, and all of them women. So this album is a little bit of a step in a new direction.
Brilliant. And then of course the Black Box on the 12th of April, isn't it?
The 12th of April, we'll be down in the Black Box. I think it's nearly there to being sold out. but we're looking forward to playing back there. We haven't done there in the Black Box in a few years, so it'll be great to be back.
Brilliant. Well, as always, we look forward to seeing you back in Belfast, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Robin.